the Middle East, a land of sun, sand, and stories, old cities, old borders, and old anger. But now, something new is rising. Drones in the sky, spies in the dark, bombs without names, enemies without faces. This is not a normal war. This is a shadow war. Iran, Israel, two nations, no shared border, but a deep, burning conflict. And the world, it is watching, waiting, worried, because this is not just their fight anymore. This fire could spread. Chapter 1. Iran and Israel. A long conflict. Iran and Israel. Two countries that do not share a border, but they share something else: hate, fear, history. This is not just about today. It began many years ago, decades ago. Old pain, old anger, still burns. Once, long ago, things were different. In the 1960s and 70s, Iran and Israel were not enemies. In fact, they worked together. They traded. They shared secrets. They both feared Arab countries like Egypt and Syria. But in 1979, everything changed. The Islamic Revolution shook Iran. A group called the Ayatollahs took power. They removed the Shah, the king, and they shouted, "Death to Israel! Death to America!" Iran became a religious country, a strict one, and Israel became an enemy. From that moment the war began, not a normal war, not tanks, not soldiers, a shadow war, a war in the dark, with spies, with hackers, with assassins. Israel says Iran is building a nuclear bomb. Iran says, "We want peace." But Israel does not believe that. And Iran? It funds groups like Hezbollah. They fight Israel. They fire rockets. They dig tunnels. Israel calls them terrorists. Iran calls them freedom fighters. Who is right? Who is wrong? It depends who you ask. Some say Iran wants to destroy Israel completely. Others say Israel just wants to control the region. But here is the truth. People are dying. Civilians, children, families, for politics, for power, for revenge. In 2010, something strange happened. A computer virus called Stuxnet. It was smart, very smart. It attacked Iran's nuclear machines, broke them, slowed them down. No bullets, no bombs, just code. Many believe Israel and the US made it. But they never said yes or no. This is how the shadow war works. No fingerprints, no names, only silence. Then, scientists in Iran started to die. Car bombs, silent bullets, disappearances. Iran blamed Israel. Israel said nothing, but the message was clear. We are watching you. We are stopping you. We will not let you win. And Iran? It didn't stop. It built more. It hid more. It threatened more. The hatred grew. Some people ask, how can this end? But many fear it won't. Because this is not just a war between two countries. It's a war of ideas, a war of identity, a war of memory. Some Israelis remember the Holocaust. They say, we must defend ourselves, always. Some Iranians remember US and Israeli influence. They say, we must be free, no outside control. Old pain, new weapons. And a question that still has no answer. When will the fire go out, or will it only grow? Chapter 2. How the Shadow War began. Not all wars are loud. Some wars are quiet. No tanks, no armies, no big battles, just silence and death. This is the story of the Shadow War between Iran and Israel, a war in the dark. It started after 1979, after the Islamic Revolution in Iran. Iran's leaders called Israel the enemy. They said, "We will never accept this country." Israel listened and worried. Years passed, but something was building. In 2002, the world saw it. An Iranian group showed photos of secret nuclear sites. Big ones, hidden ones. The question was simple. Was Iran building a nuclear bomb? Israel said, yes. They want to destroy us. Iran said, no. We only want energy. But trust. It was gone. Israel decided, we must stop them. But how? A normal war was too dangerous. So they used another way, the shadow way. It began with information, spies, cameras, listening devices, hidden everywhere. Then explosions. In 2007, a scientist died. Then another, and another. Car bombs in the streets. Shots in the night. No one took the blame, but everyone knew. This was no accident. Iran cried out, "They are killing our people." Israel stayed silent, but the world saw. This was war, a secret war. Then came something new. In 2010, a virus, not for humans, for machines. Its name was Stuxnet. It was smart, very smart. It entered Iran's nuclear computers, changed their numbers, damaged their machines, made everything slower. No planes, no bombs, just code. The virus broke thousands of machines. Experts said only a country could do this. Many said, this is Israel, and maybe the US. Again, silence. But the message was clear. We are inside your systems. We can stop you any time. Iran was shocked, but not stopped. It answered in its own way. Through its friends, groups like Hezbollah and Hamas. These groups attacked Israel with rockets, with tunnels, with surprise. Israel attacked back with airstrikes, with drones, with force. But still, no full war. Just shadows, fear in the streets, whispers in the night. Two enemies, always watching. This was how the Shadow War began, not with a big bang, but with quiet steps. Now every move is dangerous. Every mistake could bring a real war. A war not just in the shadows, but in the open. And the world wonders. Can this shadow war stay hidden, or will the shadows catch fire? Chapter 3. Drones over Tehran. One night, in Tehran, a strange sound in the sky. Bzzz. It's not a bird, not a plane, it's a drone. Then another, then more. Small, fast, flying low. People look up. Mothers hold their children. Fathers close the windows. Old men whisper, "What is this?" The city holds its breath. Then, boom. A flash of light. A building shakes. Car alarms scream in the dark. What happened? Was it an accident? A mistake? It was a message. The target, a military site, secret, protected, hidden in the city. But someone found it. Someone wanted to hit it. Tehran wakes up in fear, not from warplanes, but from machines with no pilot. Who sent them? Iran says it was Israel. Israel says nothing. But the people know. This is not the first time. Drones. They are the new face of war. No pilots, no warning, no risk for the attacker. They fly high, they watch everything. They can strike at any moment. Iran uses drones too. It sends them to its allies, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen. Some of these drones fly toward Israel. Israel shoots them down. But sometimes, one gets through. It's a silent game, but not a safe one. Because one mistake, one drone too far, can start something big. After the drone attack in Tehran, Iran speaks loudly. This is war. This is terrorism. It shows the broken building on TV. It blames the West. It blames Israel. It blames spies. But what does Israel say? Nothing, just like always. But its actions speak louder than words. The world watches. People ask, is this the future of war? No soldiers, no tanks, just flying machines, just shadows. A young man in Tehran says, I don't want to die because of a drone. A mother says, my child screams when he hears a plane. People are tired, tired of fear, tired of silence, tired of war that hides in the sky. But the drones keep coming. Over cities, over homes, over lives. And now, everyone listens to the night sky and waits. Because in the silence, the war still flies. Chapter 4. Israel threatens, Iran answers. Israel speaks with power. Strong, cold director. We will not wait to be attacked. That was the message. Clear, loud, dangerous. The world heard it. Iran heard it. Everyone knew something was coming. Israel says Iran is building a nuclear bomb. Iran wants to destroy us, they say. We will not let that happen. Iran says, we are not making bombs. We want peace. We want respect. But no one believes each other. Not anymore. And now, words turn into weapons. In a desert in Iran, an explosion. Boom, fire lights up the sky. A military base. Gone. Iran blames Israel. Another day. A scientist dies on his way to work. A small bomb under his car. Iran blames Israel again. And Israel? Silence. But silence speaks. And it says, yes, we did it. Iran is angry, hurt, humiliated. It answers. A missile flies from Syria. It hits near an Israeli airbase. Israel fires back. Planes drop bombs on Syrian land. Iran supports fighters in Syria. Israel targets them. One strike leads to another, then another, back and forth, night after night. Israel calls it defense. Iran calls it resistance. But people call it something else. Fear. A man in northern Israel says, my kids sleep in the bomb shelter now. A woman in Tehran says, I don't watch the news anymore. It's too much. And leaders? They keep talking, but their words are sharp. The Israeli Prime Minister says, we will do whatever it takes. An Iranian general replies, we are ready. We are not afraid. The world watches, holding its breath. In New York, at the United Nations, diplomats speak. They talk about peace, about stopping the violence. But in the Middle East, the fire is already burning. On the border, soldiers wait. In the sea, warships move. Everyone feels it. Something is coming. A bigger fight? A full war? Or just more shadows? More silence? More fear? No one knows. But tonight, one thing is clear. Israel is ready to strike again, and Iran is ready to answer. The world can only hope that one day the talking will be louder than the bombs. Chapter 5. What do the Arab countries say? In the Middle East, everyone is watching and listening very carefully, because when Iran and Israel fight, it doesn't stay between them. It spreads like fire. Arab countries are close, too close. Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Lebanon, the United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Syria. Some leaders speak, carefully, slowly, with measured words. Others say nothing. But the people, they are not silent. They are asking, will our land become the next battlefield? In Saudi Arabia, a prince says, we do not want war, but Iran must stop. In Lebanon, the government says very little. Why? Because Hezbollah lives there, and Hezbollah is close to Iran. In Jordan, the king worries, not just about war, but about refugees, families running from bombs, again. In Egypt, there is fear of chaos, fear of prices going up, fear of losing control. Every Arab country has its own fear, but there is also something new, a quiet change. Some Arab countries are now closer to Israel. Not friends, but not enemies either. In 2020, the Abraham Accords began. Peace deals, trade deals, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan. They shook hands with Israel. Not everyone liked it. Protests broke out. People shouted, "What about Palestine?" But the government said, "We are choosing peace." Now, these same countries are stuck in the middle. They want business with Israel. They fear war with Iran. So they stay quiet or speak softly. One Arab diplomat says, "This is not our war, but it could become ours." In Yemen, a different story. There, Iran supports the Houthis, a rebel group. They fight Saudi Arabia. They launch missiles, even at oil fields. The Saudi government blames Iran and prepares for more attacks. In Syria, Iran has soldiers, fighters, weapons. Israel bombs them often. The war is already there. The truth is simple. The Middle East is not one voice. It is many voices, different, divided. But one feeling is the same: worry. Worry that this war, this shadow war between Iran and Israel, could explode. And when it does, it won't just hit one country, it will hit many. A father in Amman says, "My children ask me, are we safe?" I don't know how to answer. A student in Cairo says, "We don't want more war. We want jobs. We want a future." But dreams are hard when war is always close and the fire is still spreading. Chapter 6. America in the Middle. The United States of America. A superpower, a peacekeeper, a fighter, a seller of weapons. And in the Middle East, it is stuck. For years, the US has been close to Israel. Very close. Billions of dollars in support, military help, intelligence, technology. Every US president says it. Israel has the right to defend itself. But the US also has deals with Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar. It sells them weapons too, gives them aid, says it wants stability. So now, the US stands in the middle, between Iran and Israel, between old allies and new mistakes, and the world asks, can America really stay in the middle? In Washington, leaders say they want peace. We don't want war, says one US official. We want to stop Iran's nuclear program, with words, not bombs. But behind closed doors, weapons are still moving, drones, missiles, F-35 fighter jets, to Israel, to Saudi Arabia, to other US partners. Some call it strategy, others call it hypocrisy. In 2015, the US made a deal with Iran, a nuclear deal. Iran agreed to stop building bombs. In return, the US removed sanctions, economic punishment. Many people called it a success, a step toward peace. But in 2018, it ended. President Donald Trump pulled out. He said, "It's a bad deal." He brought back the sanctions, harder than before. Iran was angry. It started its nuclear work again, faster, deeper, louder. Israel smiled. But the world grew more afraid. Now the new US government wants to restart the deal. Talks happen in Europe, but trust is broken. Iran says, first, remove the sanctions. The US says, first, stop the uranium. Back and forth, no agreement, only time and tension. At home, many Americans are tired. They say, why are we still involved? They remember Iraq, Afghanistan, years of war, thousands of lives, trillions of dollars. A mother in Texas says, my son fought in the Middle East. He came back different. I don't want this again. But the US can't walk away. Too many promises, too many enemies, too much power to lose. So it stays in the middle, trying to balance, trying not to fall. But what happens when the next missile flies? When Israel strikes again? When Iran answers? Will America stop it or join it? And then the world holds its breath. Again. Chapter 7. Oil prices on fire. Oil, black liquid, power, money, control. It moves the world. It runs cars. It heats homes. It lights cities. But when war comes to the Middle East, oil feels it first, and the price goes up. In 1 week, oil rises by $10. In 2 weeks, 20. At gas stations in Europe, long lines. In America, angry drivers. In Africa, no fuel at all. A taxi driver in Nigeria says, I work 10 hours just to fill my tank. A single mother in Spain says, I choose between food or heating my home. The war is far away, but the pain is close. Why does this happen? Because many of the world's oil fields are in the Middle East, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. When there is war, oil companies worry. They stop, they wait, and the prices jump. Also, Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway, a choke point. Every day oil ships pass through it. But if Iran blocks it, the world loses oil, and the price explodes. Some call it a weapon without bullets. Iran has used it before. Threatened to shut the strait. Just words, but strong ones. Markets listen. Prices rise. Israel knows this too. It watches. It prepares. Because if oil prices rise too high, the world may blame Iran or push for peace. But others? They use it for profit. Big oil companies win, their stocks go up, they make billions. But the poor, they lose. A shop owner in India says, "I sell less." People stay home. They cannot afford transport. A farmer in Egypt says, "Fuel for my tractor costs too much. My crops are dying." This is the real cost of war. Not just bombs, not just soldiers, but hunger, cold, desperation. Some countries try to help. They release oil from their reserves. They ask OPEC to produce more. But it's not enough, because fear moves faster than oil. And right now, the world is afraid. Every time a drone flies, every time a missile hits, the price moves, and millions of people feel it, in silence, in struggle. So, who is winning? Maybe no one. And who is paying? Almost everyone. The war may be in the shadows, but its fire reaches every street, every home, every life, and as long as the conflict burns, so will the price of oil. Chapter 8. Who supports whom? Russia, China, the West. This is not just a war between Iran and Israel, not anymore, now. The world is watching, and more than watching. Some are helping. Russia, China, the West. Big powers, old rivals, each with a plan, each with something to gain. This shadow war. It pulls them all in, like a storm pulling in clouds. Russia stands near Iran, not with loud words, but quiet actions. They sell weapons, they train fighters, they share intelligence. Iran helps Russia too. They send drones, used in the war in Ukraine. One war feeds another. One deal leads to more death. Russia says, "We are protecting friends," but the world sees they are building a team against the West. And China? China plays a different game. Money, trade, silence. They buy oil from Iran, a lot of it, even when others stop, even when sanctions say no. China signs big deals, billion-dollar agreements, for roads, for energy, for the future. They don't talk about war. They talk about business. But behind the smiles, there is power, a quiet kind of power. China says, "We don't choose sides," but their actions, they tell a different story. And the West, the United States, the European Union, Canada, Britain, they support Israel, mostly in the shadows, sometimes in the open, military help, money, technology. And when Israel strikes back at Iran or its allies, the West often says nothing, or says Israel has the right to defend itself. But there's more. The West also wants to stop Iran's nuclear program. They push for talks. They offer deals. They add sanctions. One day they talk peace. The next they send weapons. Even allies feel confused. A French journalist says, "Is the West trying to stop war or just manage it?" Now the lines are clear, but also not clear at all. Russia and Iran, China and Iran, the West and Israel. Some countries sit in the middle, waiting, watching, choosing carefully. But the world is not neutral anymore. It can't be. A man in South Africa says, "We are far away, but this war touches everything: food, fuel, fear." A woman in Germany says, "I used to think this was a local fight. Not anymore. This is no longer just Iran and Israel. It is the world." And as each country chooses a side, the war grows, not just in fire, but in influence. And now the question is clear: who will step back and who will push forward? Because one wrong move could pull everyone in. Chapter 9. Are we close to a big war? The sky is quiet, too quiet, but underground. Missiles are ready. In the sea, warships move. On the ground, soldiers wait, eyes watch. Fingers hover over buttons. Everyone asks the same question: is this just noise, or the beginning of something bigger? For years, the Iran-Israel conflict stayed in the shadows: spies, cyber attacks, drone strikes. But now it feels different. Bolder, louder, closer. Iran says, "We are ready for any attack." Israel says, "We will not let them win." The US moves planes into the region. Russia warns the West. China says, "Stay calm." But calm is not the feeling in the air. In the Gulf, a US ship crosses the water. An Iranian boat comes too close. They stare at each other. No shots, but only just. One mistake, one wrong signal, could start a war. In Syria, Iran-backed fighters launch rockets. Israel answers with airstrikes. Civilians run, homes shake. People whisper, "Is this the start?" In Lebanon, in Iraq, even in Gaza, the fire spreads. And the leaders? They speak loudly. But do they really want war? Or are they playing a game? A dangerous game of power and pride. A general in Israel says, "Our enemies should be afraid. We are prepared." An Iranian commander replies, "We will turn Tel Aviv into dust." The world hears these words and holds its breath. But war, real war, is not just soldiers. It's families, it's children, it's loss. A teacher in Beirut says, "I saw war when I was a child. I do not want my students to see the same." A father in Tel Aviv says, "We have gas masks in the closet. My son thinks it's normal." How did we get here? How close are we now? Satellite images show missile sites. News reports speak of troop movements. World leaders meet behind closed doors. And still, no peace. Just pressure. Building. Rising. Some say it's all talk. Others say it's a countdown. And you can feel it in the streets, in the markets, in the fear. So, are we close to a big war? Maybe. Or maybe we are already in it, just waiting for the first shot to become the loudest. Chapter 10. The Middle East. What's next? The Middle East. It is burning, missiles in the sky, explosions at night, words like weapons, anger, fear, pain. But still, there is something else, something quiet, something small. Hope. A young woman in Iran says, "I want to study in peace, not hide from drones." A boy in Israel says, "I want to play outside without hearing sirens." In the middle of war, people still dream. They dream of school, of jobs, of safety, of a future. Is that still possible? Some leaders say yes. In Saudi Arabia, new ideas are growing. More jobs, more freedom, less talk of war. In the United Arab Emirates, young people build new cities, clean, modern, full of life. Even in Iran, even in Israel, some voices speak of peace. They are soft voices, but real. At the same time, the fire is not out. There are still rockets, still threats, still hate, and hate, it grows fast. On social media, some people spread lies. They call for violence. They point fingers. It is easy to be angry, harder to listen, harder to forgive. But history tells us even long wars can end. Europe had wars. America had civil war. But they found peace. Can the Middle East do the same? Maybe. But it will take more than words. It will take courage, not just from leaders, but from people. A teacher in Gaza says, "I tell my students, you are not born to hate." A soldier in Israel says, "My brother died in war. I don't want revenge, I want peace." These voices matter. They are seeds in the fire. And seeds can grow, even in burned soil. The question is not just what's next. It is, who decides what's next? The fighters, the politicians, or the people? The Middle East is more than conflict. It is music, poetry, family, faith, history. It is beautiful and broken at the same time. But it can heal. The fire still burns. But one day, it could go out, if enough people want it to. This story is not over. But maybe, just maybe,